Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Sharma, and to wake you from the post-lunch slumber, we have a riveting conversation with our panelists on dealing with ups and downs of life. It's my pleasure to introduce the distinguished panelists who bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the table. Each panelist possesses a unique background, contributing to the diverse perspectives that will undoubtedly enrich our discussion. So, to start with the session, we have with us Dr. Sudhir Bhave. He is Professor, Department of Psychiatry at NKP Sarve Institute of Medical Sciences, Nagpur. He has 36 years of teaching experience, a postgraduate guide and examiner for MD Psychiatry. He topped almost all his exams in his school. By Bombay Psychiatry Society, is winner of L.P. Shah Oration Award, IPS Zone West Zone in 2020, Nagpur Bhushan Award, etc. National Executive Committee member of Indian Psychiatry Society. He has published 29 papers in indexed journals and authored several book chapters. He edited his first book in the world on cyber psychiatry for the Indian Psychiatry Society in 2021. An acclaimed light music vocalist, he cut an album of his songs in 2010. Welcome you, sir. We have with us next panelist, Dr. Monali Deshpande. She is a consultant psychiatrist in Aurangabad. She is a chairperson, Transactional Analysis Specialty Section, Indian Psychiatry Association. She is a founder-president of Punk NGO, working for mental health awareness. She is recipient of Resilience Award, Women of the Year 2020-21 IPS. She is a poet, dancer, and a student for life. We welcome you, ma'am. We have with us Dr. Rajendra Yashwant Agarkar. He is an honorary physician at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. He is founder, President Society for Prevention of Hypertension and Diabetes, India. He is a course coordinator for one semester course on positive psychology from the Department of Atomic Energy's Center for Excellence in Basic Sciences in Mumbai University since last 4 years. He is an honorary advisor, Health Center, Mumbai University Kalina campus. He is the chairman of Ethics Committee at Hillis Saria Institute of Public Health. In the field of health education, he is founder, member and co-editor of Arogya Jnaneshwari, a yearly publication devoted to health education since last 28 years. E-book Jeevan Shaili Ani Arogya, published by Marathi Vignan Parishad. Several health awareness articles in newspapers and magazines, invited talks, public lectures, programmed on All India Radio. He conducted 25 one-day workshops on stress-related disorders and management. Thank you, sir, for being here today. Next panelist we have with us, core organizing committee member of Platinum Jubilee celebration of GMC Nagpur, Dr. Avinash Turankar, Professor, Department of Pharmacology, Government Medical College, Nagpur. His role in this organizing committee was in finance, website and live streaming, etc. Also, he has written and directed and composed and sung the theme song of Platinum Jubilee celebrations. He has national and international publications in indexed journals. He has completed 3 certificate courses conducted by the Public Health Foundation in India. Certificate course in evidence-based medicine and diabetes mellitus, certificate course in cardiac drug diagnosis, and certificate course in hypertension. He has also done MA in psychological counseling, and his core areas of interest are emotional intelligence and sports psychology. He is a faculty for medical education technology met at GMC Nagpur and also author of a book titled Rules of Memory, which we just launched at the Milan Festival here at the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. We welcome you, sir. Oh yes, a special mention that all the panelists are alumni of GMC Nagpur. To moderate the panel discussion, I would call upon the stage Dr. Manish Thakre, who is MD Psychiatry from Grant Medical College, JJ. He has 16 years of teaching experience. He is a postgraduate guide, Deputy Medical Superintendent, Vice President of Psychiatric Society in Nagpur, and he has 20 And we have with us our next moderator, Dr. Sudhir Mahajan. He is MD Psychiatry from PGI Chandigarh, Assistant Professor Psychiatry, GMC Nagpur, 10 years of teaching experience, total 18 publications in index journals, 6 in international journals, currently Honorary Secretary of Vidar Psychiatry Association of 2023-24, Treasurer of the Psychiatry Society Nagpur. Welcome you, sir. So we have with us a very dynamic bunch of panelists, and I welcome you to get ready and gain insights from these accomplished individuals as they share their experiences and insights with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aishwarya, for the kind introduction. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you in this very important session, integral to everyone's life, dealing with ups and downs in life. Life, you all know, is a journey full of surprises, and it is not always easy to navigate the twists and turns that come our way. Today we are here to find answers, to dwell into this topic and to gain some insights on the ways to deal with these challenges. So we have a panel of experts who will share their insights and experience in this topic. So now let's get started. As we start any topic with definition, my first question to Dr. Sudhir Bhave sir. Sir, how do we define ups and downs in life? I mean, is it success or failure? Is it achievements and setbacks? Is it an outcome? Is it a process? What exactly it is?
Yeah. See, I think ups and downs are basically a subjective thing and a matter of perception. I mean, something that generally would be accepted as up or generally accepted as down would not be seen as such by every single person. Okay. I mean, how you look at those kind of challenges in life depends entirely on you. I recall that recently we had this flood in Nagpur on 23rd September. I was very close witness to it because my house also got badly flooded on 23rd September this year. Many people lost their, there were huge material losses, people lost their vehicles. And I could very clearly see that the nature of the challenge remaining the same. I mean, I had neighbors who almost completely broke down. I mean, I know that, I mean, it was not 100% loss to them. But there were those who completely broke down, and there were those who, in spite of similar losses, appeared quite stoic. I mean, they faced it bravely, they had their sense of humor intact. So, I mean, that tells us that, I mean, ups and downs are more a subjective matter, the way you perceive than what actually happens outside.
Right, sir. That reminds me of one quote: if you want to change anything in life, change the way you look at things. In this context, I also remember, sir, about a video you shared in our group of while going through a surgery. You singing a song, I guess, Zindagi Ek Safar Hai Suhana. So he wanted to give a message that surgeries are painless, but the message which was conveyed was different. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Yeah. Sir, the same question I asked to Dr. Agarkar, sir. I mean, what is your perspective on defining ups and downs in life?
What Sudhir has said, that ups and downs is a subjective thing. I would say that, irrespective of subjectivity, ups and downs are ups and downs. If there is something good and let's elevate your mood,
and there is something down that actually creates the problem. And it all depends on how prepared you are about it. I look at it this way. Forget about the emotional part or psychological part of it. Let's look at the financial part. We all are prepared for ups and downs when it comes to finance. All of us, we have savings, we put some money in FD, and we try to prepare ourselves that next month, if there is no pay, I am not worried. See, I have good amount of money in the bank and everything will be okay. Now, the type of preparation that we do for financial ups and downs, the similar type of preparation I think we need to do for emotional ups and downs. We are not prepared. कुछ भी हो गया तो ये मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ? Why me? This is a very foolish question that everyone asks whenever we go develop some problems. And I think that is because we have never been trained to prepare ourselves for ups and downs. We have seen people, when they have a down, they get, completely broken, and people get shattered. There are some people who can manage it, but we have never taught anyone, especially our kids, how they should handle ups and downs. So most of the things we learn by experiences, but I personally feel that what is important is, and that is what we very often talk about in positive psychology, that positive psychology is basically for a normal person to make him better. So I think the way we should prepare ourselves for emotional ups and downs should be always, compared with our financial ideas, and we should do it similarly the way we put FDs. So we should have good amount of FDs that can support our down, especially. Thank you.
Sir, in this context, as you said that FDs accrue interest and our deposits grow. That gives us a well-being. Avinash sir, I would like to ask you this well-being, feeling of well-being, how you see it?
Thank you, Dr. Manish. I would tend to agree with Dr. Bhave sir that ups and downs is absolutely a subjective phenomenon. It depends on the individual and the personality. And I would also tend to agree with Dr. Agarkar sir that positive psychology is something that will make you resilient in various aspects of life. And you have quoted the example of financial ups and downs. We are generally prepared with. I'll just enumerate what are the areas in which we should develop ourselves, our well-being, as you said it. My view point on this is that well-being is a summation of some 4 or 5 aspects of life. We should be catering for, we should be looking forward for enhancing them. First and foremost is the academic excellence. It depends on your age and stature. The core will be academic success or failure, that is one thing. Or your bread and butter thing, the financial thing that you are talking about. This is the most important area upon which that well-being thing depends. Second thing, then you can have ups and downs in your interpersonal relationship. That may be with your friends, your spouse, or anybody, any group in your professional place as well. The third thing that you just rightly pointed out, the emotional thing. So it is something to do with your own self, emotional management, managing your own emotions. Dr. Monali would be throwing light on that particular aspect. Then the fourth component, which is very important as far as the well-being is concerned, is the physical fitness aspect. If anything goes haywire on that front, it can hamper your well-being score, so to say. And the fifth thing which I feel is important from that perspective is time management. So if something goes wrong, if you do not have that habit or competence to prioritize your things and tasks, then it might hamper your well-being. These are the generally five aspects or terrains or domains which we should be looking and catering for. So those are this was my perspective on that particular topic. Now I have added one more aspect to this particular well-being score, so to say, is that ability to deal with toxic people and toxic situations. So this can also hamper your well-being. So if you take care of these aspects and develop your personality. And by the way, all these things are learnable aspects. So you can then take care of well-being. So that is our perspective on this particular topic. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It's always better to shift that toxicity onto the other person other than taking that toxicity inside. Sir, I mean, here we are discussing about the spectrum of well-being to wellness to illness or well-being to illness. I mean, in mental health, we do not have rigid parameters like in medicine we have normal ranges and abnormal values. So here we do not have those rigid boundaries. So how do we define that this is a spectrum of normal, these ups and downs are the part of normalcy, I mean to put it in that way, and where it is going towards psychopathology. So how do we differentiate that? How can one understand that this is I'm going through a normal up and down and can be dealt with positive psychology and versus this is something which is psychopathology and one needs to seek help?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question because all of us go through ups and downs, I mean, every single person. And it does happen once in a while that we wonder that am I getting too depressed or am I getting abnormally anxious? I mean, many of us ask this question to ourselves. In fact, whenever I give talks on mental health, I am often asked by the audience, Doctor, anxiety abnormal kab kahenge ya sadness abnormal kab kahenge? I would say, I was just thinking, if I think over it, maybe I will use 3 criteria. One is the intensity of the negative mood. I mean, if you are feeling low, how badly low? I mean, how severely low? If you are feeling anxious, how severe is the anxiety? Okay, is it just mild, something that happens commonly to most of us, or is it something very severe? So, one is severity. Second important thing I would say is the duration of it. If I feel low for say 1 hour, 2 hours, half a day, that's okay. I mean, that does happen to most of us. But if I continue to feel low for 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, almost continuously, that's a problem. I mean, the down should not be too prolonged. And thirdly, and very importantly, I think from a mental health practitioner point of view, how significantly are your ups and downs interfering with your day-to-day functioning? I think that's very important. In spite of my ups and downs, am I eating well? Am I sleeping reasonably well? Am I able to carry out my daily tasks, concentrate on my daily activities? If I can, then perhaps it's not so clear. But if I'm sad to the extent that I lost my sleep, I just can't focus on work, I'm not able to do anything productively, there's a problem. So I think I will use these criteria to differentiate.
Something which is causing dysfunction.
Sir, when we say something, these normal up-downs, so you said normal up-downs, they are affecting our life and affecting our, how we, that is the time, but no one can identify that. As a lay person or normal person, we will not be able to identify that this is the threshold after which I need to seek help. What exactly would be the threshold at work?
Yeah.
In various contexts. Sir has already said that for well-being, one must have this academic, emotional and interpersonal, and all the other aspects also. In various aspects which feel complex, how we define this? How can we, for a normal person, then in a, what we can say that exactly like sleep, or whatever the parameters are affected, they can identify those things and they will be able to help them with identification of something.
I think what Sudhir referred to as no clear-cut demarcation, I think that's very important. I mean, it's always a spectrum. I mean, me being almost not sad, somebody being very sad, that's always a spectrum. So there are no strict cut-offs. But I think I'll still allude to my third point when I said talk of dysfunction. So, I mean, do I have a problem? Yeah, I have it because I'm not able to function adequately for most of the days. So I think the dysfunction part for me is the threshold.
Thank you, sir. Before I ask any question to Dr. Monali ma'am, I would just like to give you some facts about Dr. Monali Deshpande ma'am. I was just going through her CV and I saw that she's got that Resilience Award, Best Resilient Women Award from Indian Psychiatric Society. And out of curiosity, I asked, what is this award about? I have never heard about that award. And the story was so inspiring. The person who is sitting in front of you is currently on 15 medications. She has had adversities one can imagine, can't imagine. Had developed an autoimmune disease at a very young age, developed 3 episodes of transient ischemic attacks, multiple episodes of vasculitis. Amidst all these medical adversities, with this background, I asked ma'am, how could you deal with these ups and downs, and for every one of us going through a medical adversity, how to cope up with this?
I'll be very honest with all of you. First of all, I'm really honored and I really thank the organizing committee for having me here today. It is such an honor to come back to the same place where you were sitting on the other end and learning as a student, and then feeling very honored sitting this side of the stage. Coming back to your question, Sudhir, when things really go badly, the first reaction of any individual, including me, has been of a little shock and being taken back. Because something that you never expected and you read in textbooks happening to you is something that you never imagined or dreamed of in life. And when it becomes your reality, it takes a little time, a little while to come to terms with it. But there are few things that I have learned through all these years is the acceptance of what is not going to change. So the first thing that comes to my mind is accepting whatever is being thrown at you by the destiny and letting go of certain things that might come up with it, but at the same time not giving up on yourself. Because you are worth that kind of effort and work that you can put up for your own self. So I have been kind to myself. At the same time, I have been very particular about certain aspects that would take care of my health, including exercise, meditating, going to doctors regularly, taking treatment. Second important thing I think is being prepared, as Dr. Agarkar also was saying. Preparedness is very important. And the first thing that one has to be prepared for in life is the uncertainty that can come up at any moment of time. So all of us have a habit of living a constant and continuous life of belief that everything is going to be fine always. But all of us have to get over this belief that constancy may not be there and uncertainty about many aspects of your life can strike you at any moment of time. If you become prepared for that situation with a lot of courage, patience and compassion towards your own self, I think that is the time when you can really bounce back. And resilience is all bouncing back in that adversity, staying there with your own self, with a lot of courage, facing those difficulties and not giving up at any moment of time. So I think the key is being yourself, knowing what are you chasing in your life and what really matters at the end. So if you know all these things, I think you can manage the ups and downs very well, staying flexible at times when you need to take a step back and not being very rigid about your dreams, knowing when to limit yourself, what to do, when to wait. I think if someone knows this, he can manage the ups and downs of life very well.
Very difficult thing to practice, letting it go, yet not giving up. It's very, very difficult. I think there comes the role of cognitions. I mean, acceptance, ma'am, again, it's very, there are different levels of acceptance. On face value, we say we have accepted it, but it is not sinking inside. How do you correct that? How do you develop a genuine acceptance to that? Because I mean, under the name of be positive, there is something known as malignant optimism. Be positive, stay positive all the time. How to stay positive when things are going haywire? So, I mean, acceptance. Can you tell something more about acceptance? I mean, ways you can develop this acceptance.
You know, you have brought up a very good malignant optimism. Malignant optimism is something wherein you are trying to feel and think the opposite of what you are going through, which doesn't help any individual. So if I am feeling sad and if I start saying that I am feeling happy, that is not going to take away my sadness. So that is what is malignant optimism about, which is a very unhealthy thing to do. If I am feeling sad, the acceptance of being sad itself is going to help me deal with it. So rather than thinking positive and converting into the exact opposite of what you are really thinking and feeling at that moment of time, I personally believe in realism. Realism is seeing things as they are and choosing the option over what you are seeing. So acceptance is I am actually feeling, thinking, sensing the things that are happening in my body in my awareness, and then I choose to deal with it. Positive thinking would be saying that no, this is not happening with me and everything will be fine. No, everything will not be fine. If I am feeling weakness in some part of my body, I am feeling the weakness. I have to go and deal with, go to the doctor and take treatment. That would be something that will help you. So acceptance can bring the change. Until and unless you do not accept it, what are you going to deal with? You do not know, right? So how are you going to take care of the problem? So denial doesn't help. Sometimes malignant optimism takes you towards the denial of problem. I can see the problem as it is, and then probably see yourself into it, your limitations about dealing with it, seeking help at proper time from proper people, asking for help, and then managing it well is something that is where acceptance really plays a role.
Agarkar sir, Madam has already told us about how the acceptance, sinking in the what is the reality, and once the reality sinks in, still the problems are there. How still in face of this kind of adversity, how to stay positive and how to remain focused on it?
Saying that be positive is a very easy job because you don't have to do it, someone else has to do it. And for us it is very easy to give advice. Be positive man, kuch nahi hoga. But I feel that what you are hinting at, that when you are suffering, when you are down, and if you want to really fight that or deal with it, the first thing is acceptance and say it. I think if I feel bad and feel like crying, cry. Why the hell you should try to laugh when you are not really interested in laughing? Cry. Similarly, we were talking about the preparedness. Now, all these ups and downs, let's put this as a demands of life. Now, if you really want to deal with the demands, your resources should be rich. So there is an imbalance between resources and demands. If you have good resources, possibly all your demands can possibly be dealt with in a positive way. Now, what we call resources? My support system, my parents. There are many kids I know, they very casually say, I hate my father. Why do you hate your father? Because he is not giving you iPhone. Such a simple thing, but they use the very extreme expression of I hate my father. Now, right from the beginning, if we have this particular attitude, and if we know that my father, my mother is my best support system, my brother, my friends, my teacher, These are all support systems that we should build. We should realize that this is my support system. अगर कोई अच्छा दोस्त है तो उसे दोस्त बोलो. Only because when you are in difficulty, then only will be going. Friend in need is not a good thing. So this is the support system. Second is support system that you should build within. You should be truthful. Not because Gandhiji said this. It is very convenient thing if you say truth and truth only. झूठ बोलोगे तो ख्याल रखना पड़ेगा क्या झूठ बोले थे. सच बोलोगे तो ख्याल रखने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. So I think these are some of the very simple methods that actually increases your virtues. You should build yourself in such a way that it will be easier for you to handle the problems. So I feel that we should increase our resources, and that resource system is rich, then we can possibly handle the demands. And believe me, I will repeat again, in spite of the fact that your resource system is very good and strong, but when you go through down problems, there is no harm in expressing it. What we are talking about, realizing it or accepting it. Acceptance means just express it. I am feeling bad. दोस्त है, माँ बाप है, फ्रेंड्स है, भाई है, किसी की भी बात बोल सकते हो. Unfortunately, we go to a counselor. We have a number of counselors, right, with our family and friends. We should do that. So I think this is what I feel to prepare ourselves for handling the downs, especially.
Thank you, sir. Now, moving back to this, the way we cope up with these challenges, with ups and downs, there is always a developmental perspective to it. It's a learned thing. It's something we learn. We see our parents doing. We learn from teachers. In this context, my next question to Dr. Bhave sir is, from a developmental perspective, what is the role of parenting in shaping a child deal with these ups and downs in a better way or otherwise?
Yeah, I think there are thinking of it, and kind of a simplistic reduction would be that parents contribute to our ability to cope. I would say in three ways. One is of course genetically. Genes to some extent determine the way the brains are hardwired and the way you cope with things. Like for example, the amount of serotonin available at the receptors in the brain that decides the general mood of an individual. Will the mood go down? If down, how down? So one is that biological element. Secondly, I think the way a child sees parents coping in his or her childhood, I think that's very important. If I had both parents who were very worldly wise, who were very mature in their dealings, they were quite stoic, they would face adversities quite bravely and perhaps with a smile, then that gives us to something that calls social learning. I learn things based on observing people. So if I see my parents facing ups and downs in a healthy manner, that's something that I internalize and make a part of myself. And thirdly, I think the kind of trust, the kind of faith that your parents express in you or don't express in you. For example, a child who hears from his parent, say father, frequently कि बेटा तू कर लेगा, मैं जानता हूँ, तुम्हारे अंदर वो है, मुझे तुम पर पूरा विश्वास है, you can fix it. He develops a self-image which is positive, and we know that your self-image kind of travels with you for your entire life. If your parents were successful in inculcating a positive self-image in you by virtue of positive feedbacks, by virtue of showing that they trust you, you do better in life. You face stresses more easily. But if you, hear comments of the opposite kind like, तेरा तो मुश्किल है बेटा, तू पता नहीं क्या करेगा, अब तो तू गया काम से. We have parents who say things like those and worse, and that definitely contributes to negative self-image. It contributes to something that we call a cognitive schema. So cognitive schema, a thinking style that tells me that no, this is very tough, I can't do it. No, I mean, this is a challenge I cannot meet. So I think these are different ways parents can influence the way we deal with difficulties.
Sir, we are the parents shape a child's how he deals with that thing. But once he grows adult, he gets education, he starts his profession. I would like to say, there will be ups and downs. Again, whatever he has inherited, whatever he has learned, all these things will be put into practice. Still, in such times, how his professional ability, professional work and professional related difficulties and his personal needs, how he should balance them. And then this creates what is called schism and how to deal with this.
As Dr. Agarkar sir had talked about the emotional impact of ups and downs we have, we feel sad and we feel depressed and all. No amount of self-talk will help in that situation. I'd like to just throw some light on my perspective on this particular aspect, and then it will get down to that point as well. So you have two components to in life, like action and emotion. These are the things. Action related to emotions. Can you change the emotion, whether it is good, bad, or whatever you label it as? The answer is no. Then how do we control that? So the only way we have is through the actions. So by modifying the actions, you can change the emotion. It may not be instantaneous. It might take time. It might take its learning curve, but it will definitely change. So the only thing is that you have to choose what kind of emotion you want to have. You want resilience. You just label that emotion and you just think about the personality trait or aspect that you want to bring in within you, and then start acting in that direction, and you will one day achieve it with your persistence. To put this thing in perspective, I have one sentence. How do we modify those things? What is doable? Is like assume that posture or rhythm or action, a set of actions that will bring the emotion which is not there. So the emotion is not there, you intend to have that kind of emotion, and then you start acting in that direction in a successful fashion. So that will bring that thing. So now this is complex, and although it is complex, I have put this in the same words because no word can be lifted from it. It will change the meaning of that thing. So that is how the mechanism of psyche or the mind operates. That is my point of view. And if you convert the entire thing into a mathematical formula which I have developed for myself, and it has been working for me, is 7 plus 3 is equal to 10. So what is that? 7 is the amount of resources we have, the skills we have, the time we have. So that is the skills we have. And 3 is the maximum number of objectives we can set. Whether it is an ongoing short-term goal or a long-term goal. You cannot have more than that. It is humanly impossible. So with resources you have in that particular context, setting those 3 goals and then achieve. What do we get? 10. This is mathematics, but in real life it might be 12, 13, 15 or even 7 or 8. Okay, you have some score there and then you move on. So that is how it goes on, and you have your own score. So that is a individual subjective score. So whatever field you choose, you keep on getting that mental score. So that is a credit score, that will add to my self-efficacy score, it will add to my confidence, and I will get that learning. So this is how things work. I mean, in totality, life is not a structure, it is a process. So this is how we manage, and I mean, might be sounding very complex, but this is, I think this is how things work. Yeah.
That brings up next question about life. I mean, I wanted to avoid that discussion because that becomes goes in a different direction. But I have read a scientific definition of life. It's all life is about organization and systematic placement of elements, and death is about disorganization and dismantling of these objects or elements. So that brings to another question. Is discipline, we talk of discipline, we talk of habits, routine, lifestyle. What are to Bhave sir, I mean, what is the impact of lifestyle in handling ups and downs? I mean, we all know we have some unhealthy, unproductive habits that we need to let it go, but somehow we are stuck in that. So in this context, lifestyle changes and ups and downs.
Yeah. Just taking a slight detour, your definition of life. I think the best definition of life that I read was, it's a sexually transmitted condition with 100% mortality. I think nothing could be truer, closer to the truth. Anyway, so about your question about how lifestyle really affects resilience. I think lifestyle is extremely important. Someone who is not following a healthy lifestyle is not likely to face life squarely and in a healthy fashion. When I think of lifestyle, I mean that brings me to a term called mental hygiene. I think mental hygiene is all about your day-to-day practices that improve your mental health. Whenever we talk of hygiene, we talk of practices. Sleep hygiene relates to sleep practices in the day, 24 hours. Dental hygiene refers to the way you handle your teeth. So in the same way, mental hygiene is how you handle your mind. And it comprises of small things through the 24-hour circadian cycle. So things like having a good sleep, ensuring good sleep prepares you for a better day, not only physically but also emotionally. Regular exercise in the morning. It's a well-known fact that exercise not only helps you physically, but it helps you emotionally. People who exercise regularly face less of ups and downs. Their downs are less intense. Generally, moods are better. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, they work wonders for their practitioners. Staying away from drugs, staying away from smoking, I think that's a very important thing. And something I think to which some of the panelists have alluded to earlier. I mean, basically handling your own thinking, your own cognitions, how you handle your own thinking on a day-to-day basis. So I think these and a few more of the lifestyle factors, they definitely affect the way you face stressful situations.
Habit of reading. Next question is to ma'am. You have been conducting workshops on transactional analysis. Transactions means it's basically interpersonal transactions, what I can understand, in the psychoanalytic perspective. So, majority of the ups and downs are related to some sort of interpersonal transactions. So, how to handle ups and downs in the interpersonal transactions, both professional and personal?
Okay, so basically, relationship is something happening between two people. And when something is happening between two people, it is basically the communication that happens throughout the day. Either you are verbally communicating or you are non-verbally communicating. What are you communicating is most of the time the thoughts that you have inside yourself, the belief systems that you are carrying about the person, about the situation, about the role, about the position that you have in life. So in relationship, when we are talking, most of the time we are talking about what we are thinking in that particular situation, in that particular relationship. But if you really want to handle the ups and downs in life really well, the key is to understand from where is the other person coming. So what could be the other person's viewpoint, what could be the other person's perspective, what could be the other person's way of thinking in the current scenario in any stressful situation. If you could understand the other person's perspective and probably have empathy towards what the other person is thinking and believing and could listen to what the other person has to say, I think the relationship in their downfall would go better. So if you really want to work on the relationship, the first thing is not pushing your thoughts or your ideas or belief systems on the person, understanding what the person has to say, listen patiently, do not form an opinion about or judgment about that person immediately, and And the most important thing in interpersonal relationship is an intention to work on it. And real intention to work on it. Because if you are carrying it forward for the social aspect or for your personal interest, I think then things are not going to go well. So you have to understand and have that intention that, okay, I really want to work on this relationship. With that intention, if you empathically give proper time to the other person to vent out, to speak, and you realize and understand, I think the interpersonal relationship can go better in the downfall. Giving time, listening and communicating well is the key.
Listening, communicating and giving time. This is what we are doing daily. Nowadays we are seeing medical students and medical faculties, fraternity. There are suicides, rate of suicide, there are problems between teachers, students, and all these things. How to, sir, you have spent so many years, you are senior most, in your experience, how the ups and downs in medical career, starting from student life to setting up practice and even after retirement, how do you think these ups and downs in medical?
असा प्रश्न विचारल्यास मनीष की ज्याचं उत्तर माहिती नाही आहे. त्याचं कारण असं आहे की एक फार सुंदर कविता आहे, मन मनास उमगत नाही आधार कसा शोधावा, त्या स्वप्नात हरवली वाट काहीतरी. मला असं वाटतं की मनाला समजून घेणे हा जो प्रकार आहे, कालपर्यंत आपल्याकडे आता नुकतंच एका विद्यार्थ्यांनी सुसाईड केली. त्याच्या मित्रांना माहिती नव्हतं की तो ही इज गोइंग थ्रू दिस पर्टिक्युलर फेज. मी आता थोड्या वेळापूर्वी जे म्हटलं की वी मस्ट टीच अवर किड्स टू ओपन अप. आपल्याला बोलता आलं पाहिजे, आपल्या आतमध्ये घडत असलेल्या गोष्टींबद्दल बोलता आलं पाहिजे. आणि त्यात ॲट द सेम टाइम प्रत्येक घरांमध्ये, जसं मी आमच्या स्ट्रेस मॅनेजमेंटमध्ये सांगतो की तुमच्या आरशावर लिहून ठेवा, नो बडी कॅन हर्ट मी विदाउट माय परमिशन. एकाने मला विचारलं, सर ते परमिशनच घेत नाही. तर मी म्हटलं परमिशन द्यायची असते, त्यांनी घ्यायची असते असं नाही. म्हणजे तुला भूक नाही आणि तरी सुद्धा कोणीतरी तुझ्या पानात खूप वाढलं तर व्हॉट चॉईस यू हॅव टू ईट, दॅट्स इट. आपण काय पद्धतीची रिॲक्शन करतो ते महत्वाचं आहे. तसंच मला असं वाटतं की सुसाईड इज अ परमनंट सोल्युशन फॉर टेम्पररी प्रॉब्लेम. हे आपण आपल्या लोकांना सांगितलं पाहिजे. कारण काय होतं की एकदा त्या डिप्रेशनच्या याच्यामध्ये गेल्यानंतर कुठल्याच प्रकारचा टॉक काम करत नाही. म्हणजे माझे सायकॅट्रिस्ट मित्र मला नेहमी सांगतात की अरे बाबा, तुझ्याकडे एखादा विद्यार्थी असेल आणि त्याच्या डोक्यात कधीतरी असं आलं असेल की सुसाईड करावं, लक्ष ठेव. म्हणजे त्याला हलक्यात घेऊ नकोस. यू हॅव टू बी व्हेरी केअरफुल व्हेन समबडी सेज दिस. कारण आता म्हातारी माणसं जेव्हा उचलले आता असं म्हणतात, त्याला आत्महत्या करणे म्हणत नाही, त्याला विशफुल थिंकिंग म्हणतात बहुतेक, की आता संपलंय सगळं. पण माझ्या मते हे फार महत्वाचं आहे. आणि दुसरं, आपल्याला थोडीशी, आता तुम्ही बोललात त्याप्रमाणे की इंटरपर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन च्या बाबतीत आपण कसे रिॲक्ट करतो त्याला खूप महत्व आहे. आणि फार इन्स्टंटली रिॲक्ट करतो का, विचार करून रिॲक्ट करतो का. 1955 साली अल्बर्ट इलिस नावाच्या एका माणसाने REBT, रॅशनल इमोटिव्ह बिहेवियरल थेरपी सांगितली. आणि थोडक्यात सांगायचं म्हणजे त्याला ABCD आहे. A is activating factor and C is consequences and what is most important is B. म्हणजे मला एक साधं उदाहरण नेहमी देतो की ऑफिसमध्ये आज शिरलो आणि बॉस समोर आला आणि मी बॉसला गुड मॉर्निंग म्हणालो आणि बॉसने माझ्याकडे बघितलं पण नाही. He walked off. I felt very bad. I felt hurt. आणि मला हे जे वाटणं वाईट वाटतंय, I carry this throughout the day without even thinking की या माणसाने असं का केलं असेल. माझ्या मते हा बिलीफ जो आहे तो महत्वाचा आहे की समोरच्या माणसाने कसं वागावं याच्या अपेक्षा मी माझ्याजवळ ठेवल्या आहेत. मी जेव्हा गुड मॉर्निंग म्हणतो तेव्हा माझ्या बॉसने हाय गुड मॉर्निंग कसा आहेस तू असं विचारायला हवं. इफ ही डझंट आस्क दॅट, इफ ही इग्नोर्स यू, साधे प्रश्न माझ्या मनात यायला पाहिजे की देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दॅट दिस जेंटलमॅन माइट बी प्रीऑक्युपाइड, ही माइट हॅव सम प्रॉब्लेम्स, ही माइट बी गोइंग थ्रू सम टेन्स सिच्युएशन, किंवा बायकोनी झापलं असेल त्याला निघण्यापूर्वी. बरेच नवऱ्यांना करतात असं. ऑफिसमध्ये गेल्यानंतर चिडचिड केली की समजायचं की घरात बत्ती बसली आहे. पण मला असं वाटतं की हे विचार करण्यासाठी म्हणजे बिफोर यू ऍक्च्युअली रिॲक्ट यू शुड थिंक अबाउट दिस की व्हॉट इज द पॉसिबिलिटी, वाय ही इज डुईंग दिस. आणि मला असं वाटतं की आपण जसं म्हणतो की डोंट गेट हर्ट. I mean, even if somebody is hurting you, you should always say, I don't want to get hurt. So that is very important. आपल्या छोट्या छोट्या गोष्टींमुळे डिस्टर्ब होणं आणि स्पेशली मी इथल्या विद्यार्थ्यांना सांगू इच्छितो, जर मराठी कळतं ना की इंग्रजी सांगू, जर आपल्या बरोबरच्या विद्यार्थ्याला मित्राला कशाचाच इंटरेस्ट वाटत नाहीये, तो सारखा वेगळा राहतोय, बोलत नाहीये, असं असलं तर त्याला मैत्रीची गरज असते. कधी कधी त्यांच्याशी बोलायला हवं. आपल्याकडे आता मेंटॉर सिस्टीम आहे. माझ्या मते असं जर घडत असलं तर आपण ते फार सिरियसली घ्यायला हवं. कारण इफ दिस इज अ ट्रान्झिएंट फेज, 1-2 दिवस झाला आणि तू नंतर परत नॉर्मल, फाईन, काहीतरी घडलं असेल आणि त्यामुळे होत असेल. पण पर्सिस्टंटली असं जर घडत असेल, वन शुड बी व्हेरी केअरफुल. आपण ह्या सगळ्या बाबतीत जरा व्हिजिलंट असणं फार गरजेचं आहे. इस्पेशली 12वी नंतर हॉस्टेलमध्ये राहणारी मुलं जी आहेत, पहिल्यांदा घर सोडून येतात. मी मुंबई विद्यापीठामध्ये हा प्रकार नेहमी बघतो. तर काही ठिकाणी रिलीज फिनॉमिना असतो की सडनली स्वातंत्र्य, म्हणजे स्वातंत्र्य आणि स्वैराचार हा सगळा जो प्रकार आहे तो सुरू होतो आणि कुठेतरी होमसिक होतात मुलं, काहीच करू शकत नाही. तर मला असं वाटतं की ह्या ज्या मधली जी फेज आहे ती फार महत्वाची आहे. आणि आपण म्हणजे एखाद्या माणसाला मेंटली नॉर्मल ॲबनॉर्मल, माझ्या एका सायकॅट्रिस्ट मित्राला मी म्हटलं की बाबा मेंटली नॉर्मल व्हॉट इज द डेफिनेशन. तर तो म्हणाला की मेंटली नॉर्मलची डेफिनेशन, शो मी द वन अँड देन आय विल डिफाईन हू इज मेंटली नॉर्मल. वी आर ऑल, आपल्यामधल्या ॲबनॉर्मॅलिटीज ह्या सोशली ॲक्सेप्टेबल ॲबनॉर्मॅलिटीज आहेत म्हणून आपण चाललो आहोत. आपण सगळे ॲबनॉर्मल आहोत. तर कुठेतरी मला असं वाटतं की विद्यार्थ्यांच्या मध्ये सुद्धा डायलॉग व्हायला पाहिजे, लोक बोलायला पाहिजेत. आपण आपल्या मेडिकल एज्युकेशन मध्ये सुद्धा फार क्वचित वेळा मेंटल याच्याबद्दल बोलतो. मला आठवतं, मला वाटतं डेव्हिडसन मध्येच हे दिलंय की डिफरन्स बिटवीन सायकोसिस अँड न्यूरोसिस. Psychotic is a person who thinks that 2 + 2 = 5 and he is firm on his decision. Neurotic is a person who knows that 2 + 2 = 4 but he worries about it. And I think he is a tougher problem. तर आपल्याला कुठेतरी ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी माहिती असायला पाहिजेत. आपण वी शुड टॉक मोर अबाउट मेंटल हेल्थ. आपण फिजिकल हेल्थ बद्दल जेवढं बोलतो त्याच्यापेक्षा किंवा कमीत कमी तेवढं तरी मेंटल हेल्थ बद्दल बोलायला पाहिजे. तसं जर झालं तर आपल्या ह्या सुसाईड वगैरेच्या ज्या घटना आहेत त्या थोड्या कमी होण्याची शक्यता आहे. आपण ठामपणे असं सांगू शकत नाही. मला वाटतं हा खूप कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रकरण आहे की एखाद्या व्यक्तीने सुसाईड केलं असेल तर त्याची काय कारण मीमांसा आहे. इट्स नॉट अ व्हेरी इझी जॉब. म्हणून मी म्हटलं की तू मला माहिती नसलेल्या प्रश्नाचं उत्तर मी देऊ शकणार नाही, कारण इट्स रिअली व्हेरी टफ.
I think till now we have only covered about downs. I mean, before we invite audience question, we should have some discussion about ups. Bhave sir, how do you deal with ups, meaning by achievement, success?
जस्ट अ स्मॉल पॉइंट. सर तुम्ही बायकोबद्दल म्हटलं, बायको म्हटलं की अनेक इमोशन्स, अनेक आठवणी, अनेक विचार त्यात येतात. सायकॅट्रीमध्ये सगळ्याच मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लेम्सना बायो सायको सोशल म्हणतात. आणि ऑल सायकॉलॉजी प्रॉब्लेम्स बायोलॉजी. सायकॅट्रीमध्ये दुसरा शब्द आहे, जेव्हा वाईफमुळे प्रॉब्लेम होतो त्याला बायको सायको सोशल असं म्हणतात. माझी वाईफ कुठून चालली गेली. Anyway, coming to the question, I mean, how do you deal with ups and achievements? If I have to describe it in one word, I would say humility. I mean, humility is extremely important. I mean, you achieve something big, and I mean, you are eugolized. I mean, it is praised all over. But I think humility is extremely important. Why humility is important? Because I think that no matter what you achieve, there is a long background to it. That background goes to your parents, your genetic makeup, the way they brought you up, the way your personality shaped, and what kind of achievement you did on the background of similar achievements of other people. I remember Einstein had said something very, very good. He said, I mean, somebody praised him for all his 4 or 5 Nobel Prize worthy papers, and he said that whatever work I have done is I can see far because I am standing on the shoulders of giants. So that's very important. I mean, I could do this because I am standing on shoulders of other people. I mean, जितना मुझे लगता है कि मैंने बहुत बड़ा अचीव किया है, तो फ्रैंकली उसके पीछे बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं. आई मीन मेरे ख्याल से उसमें से मैं को अपने को टोन डाउन करना पड़ता है एंड एक्सेप्टिंग थिंग्स विद ह्यूमिलिटी कि ठीक है अचीव हो गया. आई मीन मेरा कंट्रीब्यूशन डेफिनेटली है, बट देन देयर आर थिंग्स बियॉन्ड मी दैट हेल्प मी अचीव.
Thank you, sir. For audience.
Hi, nice, very nice talk, great. So I had one question, in life, one of the things is you do feel down when one of your contemporaries goes up, which is an unfortunate part of life, but it's a part of life. And I think all of us have this feeling at some time. So if one of your contemporaries gets whatever is well recognized, you do feel down. And I think that's one of the bad part of life, that we are comparative. So how does one deal with this comparison of life? It comes all the time. It comes in your psyche all the time. That, someone is sitting on the stage and you're off stage or you're at the bottom of the stage. And someone is, so that's going to happen in life all the time. Especially if he's your contemporary, he is your close colleague, or, not someone who's very far away. Someone in US sits on the stage, I don't feel bad, but someone sits here on the stage, and that's a natural human feeling which all of us have. I don't think anyone can deny that feeling in this. So I think how do we deal with this feeling? Because as we grow, we realize that you have to let your students sit on the stage and you have to sit off stage and you have to hand over things to others. You can't keep on holding things to yourself. The most difficult part of life is to hand over and go down and let another person go up and be happy about it. Not just accept it, but feel happier about it and feel that this is one of the best times of my life. So just one story I want to tell you all, which is from my father. Sudhir knows the story. That one day before he died, I called him because my wife said, you must call him and talk to him. You have not spoken to him for 15 days. What is this? So I spoke to him. And he was of course 90 years old. So 90 years old, I called him. And I asked him, Baba, kaisa vart hai? My body gives me trouble, but I am happy. So I think this was one of the things that you also know, and we all know this. But how do you deal with this in your life? And how do you hand over things to your juniors, not feeling down about others going up? I think very important.
Yeah. I think like one of the earlier questions, Dr. Agarkar's answer is, I don't know the answer. I mean, this is something that happens very commonly and perhaps to almost all of us. I mean, it happens to you, it happens to me. Her answer gets more clap, mine does not get any clap from the audience. I feel down. So I think it's very, very natural, it's absolutely natural, to the extent that it's almost normal. Now, if a client comes to me saying that he has these kind of difficulties, what would I tell him? I think I tell him something that we or mental professionals have been telling people for ages, that it's always a better idea to compare yourself with your own past achievements. I mean, it's not easy to compartmentalize these two things. But I mean, whenever you feel the pangs of jealousy about somebody else's achievement, it's time to remind yourself, okay, I am to look at my own achievements. I mean, am I doing better than what I did earlier, or am I going down? And if yes, I mean, how can I do better? Now, very unfortunately, I mean, the idea of competitiveness is instilled in our brains right, since childhood by the entire system, by the school system, by the parents, and by every significant adult. So I mean, that competitiveness, it seeps into your life in every small thing. So I think it's very natural to happen. Not worry too much about it, but as I said, I think on those lines.
So I would like to add a few comments. See, basically, I always feel parenting has got to do when such things happen in our mind. It is absolutely natural to feel a moment of jealousy when someone is doing better than you. But how long do you allow it to stay within yourself? By contemplating over it, going over it again and again, and feeling sorry for oneself is in one's own choice. Second important thing is, parenting is important because parents would want to motivate the child by giving examples of neighbors or examples of friends' children, which is a wrong way of motivating the child, because children do not get motivated by giving examples of someone else. Motivation is an inner thing that can happen with kids only when parents are motivated and they see the parents doing stuff. So if you give such examples, probably the child gets that sense of jealousy for someone else, including the siblings, and he feels low for himself because he's being compared with someone else. Now, when I feel low for myself, and a powerful God-like figure in my life who's providing me everything is giving a bad opinion about me, I form a wrong opinion about myself. And that creates that kind of poor self-image within me, which doesn't get any better in later life. Hence the jealousy. So we all have to overgrow this idea that we are any less. Whatever comparison, as Sir said, we have to compare with our own self. Because no two people's life, no two people's skills, no two people's genetic, hereditary, and whatever environment they have got can be compared. So I think we are all unique as individuals, and we have our own life story, we have our own strengths, we have our own limitations. If we could focus more on ourselves rather than on others in that moment of jealousy, I think we would do better. So I think feeling it for some time is okay, but not letting it stay and going on acting on it is something that one should resist.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Yes. We see many examples around you who are on their way up in their career, maybe financially, in their relationships, whatever. They are on the up, and in the bargain, they tend to undermine people because they start getting a sense of power as they grow. They start hurting people, harm people, maybe inadvertently, without thinking, and they reach at the top, and at the top they are alone. So this kind of a success can also bring a kind of anxiety in the guy who has reached the top. And if he is not having the quality of humility, as he said, Sudhir, possibly he will suffer much more. Right? So what did Tatas do differently than Vijay Mallya? You know, there are two examples, stark opposite examples. Right? So I think these guys also need counseling. How to handle success? Is there a way, I am certain these people will never feel that they should go to a psychiatrist. Only down people think of going to the psychiatrist. Those who are going up, who cannot handle. You have examples of people who earn crores of rupees in 1 crore and then they suffer in their life because they got money so unexpectedly and in large amounts. This is also a kind of a success which has harmed them. So also these guys need some counseling and
Everyone needs it.
yeah. So is there any take on that?
I have a perspective on this entire issue. As you brought that point of that jealousy thing, I'm in agreement with both the speakers that you have to just refocus instead of focusing on what others are achieving. If you focus on your own self, those domains consciously, proactively on those 5 parameters that I just talked about, the career and the interpersonal relationship, emotional and physical fitness and the time management and all those things. then you will not find time to focus on others, and then that progressive attainment of those worthy goals will give you what is called as happiness. This is the best definition of happiness that I have ever heard. Progressive attainment of worthy goals, no word can be deleted, and this has been given by, I owe this definition to Dr. Deepak Chopra, and there is no better definition than this. So if you try to achieve on all those parameters, definitely wherever you are, you will have that sense of happiness and attainment and satisfaction. That is my take on this. As far as your question is concerned, it is something like कि अगर मैंने एक सेंचुरी मार ली तो उसके आगे क्या और एक सेंचुरी. So while doing that thing, I mean that meditative trance, that will give you that happiness. Another century. Worthy. So if the thing lies over here. Progressive attainments, if they are not worthy, will not give happiness. So if they achieve what more than what is expected of them or their goals, and they should practice altruism, which Tata's practice. So give it, pass it on to the others. So definitely that will give. I mean, those dimensions have to be explored by them, and many of them are exploring. I mean, I have heard that Tatas give 60% of the net profit to the charity. It is huge, unbelievable, sir. If they do not do this, they will be on the top and nobody will be on the second place. I mean, it is such a gap that they will have. So we cannot say that they are not happy at the core. But I will agree to your question that definitely they require counseling. Counseling does not mean that they have any problem. It might be for the excellence, for doing betterment for their own self and as well as for others. I mean, that's my point of view on this particular. Thank you.
Counseling is needed to all of us, including us who are sitting on this side. सक्सेस की डेफिनेशन ना सर बहुत पर्सनल होती है और वो पर्सनली होनी चाहिए क्योंकि सोसाइटी के हिसाब से आप अगर सक्सेस डिफाइन करेंगे तो मुश्किल हो जाएगा. मेरी बहुत सिंपल डेफिनेशन है, sleeping without a pill and passing in the morning without a pill. That is success. So if you could sleep well and your digestion is doing well, I think you are successful in
it. Was extremely interesting, and I think all the points of ups and downs were covered. I have got a poem which will depict the discussion. Can I read it out?
Yes, maybe at the end of the discussion.
Okay.
This is something
and one more point, like you were discussing about depression. So many people or many patients are not ready to reveal the depression, and they feel that it is a stigma in the society. So I just tell simply that as you have a body and you have illness for the body, similarly you have got a brain. So there is going to be some illness for the brain. So you don't have to worry about it, because only people who are intelligent really become mad. People who are illogical don't think so much, so they don't get mad. So if there is some anxiety, depression, then you should be happy that you are really logical and you are thinking too much, and that is a...
I'm just interrupting. One of our panelists need to go now.
I'm really sorry for this interruption. I have got to leave urgently. There is something that I have to attend to.
It's totally okay, sir. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Now we can.
I just wanted to narrate a small experience of mine about handling the success. One of my friends who was given accelerated promotion. He is a person who is extremely competent person for in his field, but a bit rude. And because he was a good friend, I told him and said that congratulations for this accelerated promotion. And how about joining me for dinner? I would like to offer a party to you. So he said, why should you give me a party? I said, because I am very happy. He came to my house, we had a small party, but he cried. He said, nobody has said this to me any time in my life. That he is happy because I am happy. I just said, you are a good friend of mine and you have been given accelerated promotion. It's a wonderful thing. So I thought I should offer you a party. So I think many a times such type of, after that I realized that fellow who was earlier a very arrogant fellow, his entire behavior changed. Entire behavior changed by this simple this thing that, I offered him a party. I think many times handling success, you require some jolt somewhere until you come back to ground.
Any more questions from the audience?
Hi, thanks to all the panelists for a very interesting discussion. My question is to Dr. Monali. I think earlier in the discussion there was a comment about how do you handle toxic people, toxic comments. My question to you is how do you handle toxic people around you, and especially any sort of sexist comments that you get, given that you're a very successful woman in medicine?
Are you a resident?
I am not a medical.
There are two ways to handle toxic people. I won't give a very long answer. One is forgive them, pray that they get some sense in their head, and second is avoid them completely. Only two things we can do.
People we do not like, people about whom we have something negative reactions. Okay, what they are suggesting, and that way we can handle that thing in a better way.
Just one small comment to what Dr. Monali just brought in. It is something like how do you play bouncer ball or something that is wicket taking, that is outside the off-stump ball. If you are aware of cricket, the best way is to just leave it. You don't play it. So this is a learnable art, to leave that ball. So if you leave those balls, then you will stay on the ground and you can have something.
So that is the question that you are playing. No worry, it's a test.
We do some work as space. So what we tend to do is before we start our work, I personally procrastinate a lot. So I just wanted to know how do you deal with procrastination?
It's a learnable art. Procrastination, I guess you mean that you think about it and you just don't do about it. What I feel that you begin your day with a to-do list, there may be some 7-8 tasks that you have, and go about it, and you may not be achieving those 10 tasks, maybe 2-3. So that's a success point. Next time have another to-do list and go on, so that it becomes a habit. So you have monitoring on yourself task list or whatever going in one particular direction, and then one fine day it becomes a habit. So then you stop procrastinating. It is a psychological, scientific fact that if you practice any practice for 21 days, it becomes your habit. And if you practice it for 90 days, it becomes your lifestyle, it becomes your second nature. So you will just forget about procrastination. So it will become a part of your life. Just start it, just do it. So I guess that's the part of advice that I would...
Just do it is very important. Don't think about it. There's one reason which has been given for procrastination. And what are we doing by procrastinating? We are worrying. So the entire day we are worrying that tomorrow we have an exam and we are not studying. So worry as a means of avoidance, as a means of defending ourselves from the pain of studying. So worry can be an avoidance phenomenon. So there are times when we don't need to worry, we don't need to basically think. It's about doing, not thinking. So to get over the procrastination, no thought process is required, it has to be done.
Good afternoon, ma'am and sir. I am a third year MBBS student. मैम जब भी कुछ बुरा होता है या कुछ भी थोड़ा सा भी बैड होता है तो बहुत बार ऐसे ख्याल आता है कि why is this happening to me, और वो ख्याल फिर बहुत लंबे टाइम तक ओवर थिंकिंग में लेके जाता है. तो how should we address to it, मतलब कैसे सोचना चाहिए, कैसे वो चीज हैंडल करना चाहिए?
I mean, we have given a serious thought to this particular answer. I mean, I don't have a simple answer, one line or two line to this thing. Me and Dr. Sudhir and Dr. Manish have given a serious thought on this, and we are planning a series on this, and that will be titled as Redesign Your Brain, where we will be talking about all these aspects, setting your goals, doing adjustment and all the soft skills, the time management skills and all. So all these things will be dealt in details, and then it will be put on our own YouTube channel. And I mean, we are planning, and it will definitely be there in place. I mean, I don't have a short answer to this question. It is a process, it's a long-term process, and it requires redesigning and all. And it has to be across on all domains. So we are giving it a thought, and we are doing it proactively. So it will be there soon. So that is my announcement at this point. And if there is something to offer on a particular question, you can.
मी राजेंद्र सरांचं उदाहरण दो टेनिस
आंखों से आंसू बह रहे हैं और हमें लगे बरसात शुरू हो गई। जरा खिड़की से झांक के देखो तो आपको पता चलेगा बरसात तो काफी दूर है। When we concentrate more on our own worries and our own problems, we feel that we are the only ones who is suffering. Basically, suffering is a very relative thing, something we discussed it in the discussion also. But always try to analyze as to what has happened and why it has happened. Many times we have answers to it. Customarily, when we get a problem, we discuss problem more. We try to analyze problems. Actually, we should start searching for the solutions rather than discussing the problem. Because finding the different solution is one way of discussing the problem as well. So whenever you feel that type of thought process, you have me. So मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि थोड़ा और भी गम है ज़माने में, तो वो भी ज़रूरी है, because you should not have self-pity all the time. There are, I mean, we should come out of that particular problem. I mean, मुझे क्यों हुआ है, तो ज़रूरी है थोड़ा और भी दूसरों की तरफ झांकना।
The simple answer to this is, it's not a term known as sufferings of sanity. So there are a lot of sufferings that come with being sane, being civilized. Even Sigmund Freud has said, whatever psychotherapy is being done for mental health illnesses, it only helps converting the neurotic misery into normal unhappiness, not happiness, unhappiness. So it's the part of, it is there. So it's not you, it's everyone.
एक आणखी त्याच्यावर टेक आहे. सरांनी कोट केलेलं उदाहरण आहे राजेंद्र आगरकर सरांनी. टेनिसपटू होता अमेरिकेचा, ब्लॅक टेनिसपटू, ज्याने विंबल्डनमध्ये चांगलं जिंकलेलं होतं. त्याला कॅन्सर बी काहीतरी आजार झाला, एड्स झाला. त्यावेळेला सर्वजण म्हणाले, अरे तुझ्यासोबत असं काय, आणि तुझ्यासोबत देवाने असं काय. त्याचं उत्तर होतं, देवाने मला याच्या आधी भरपूर सक्सेस दिलेला आहे, त्यावेळेला मी देवाला थँक्स बोलले. हे सर देवाने मला दिलाय, त्याशिवाय त्याला वाईट कशात होतं. कधी ना कधी वाईट होतं, पण आपल्यासोबत चांगलं पण झालेलं असतं. तो वाईट वाटण्याचा प्रकार कमी.
We had a discussion on this. God is always the soft target. If we don't find anyone, let's put it on God.
We have certain kind of disappointments, and that we consider as done. So, like, how do we change the years of cycles? Maybe we need to change our expectations also. So, it was a wonderful session, and we thank all the panelists and the lovely two moderators. Thank you so much.
I think this can go on and on.
Life, it's about spreading happiness. Life is magical in all perspectives, although sound thinking gives a proper directive. Making the most of life should be one's motive. Making the most of life should be one's personality, but going through the difficulties is the ground reality. Making people happy must be our goal in life. Whatever little one can do actually does suffice. Happiness and abundance should be your motive. Be happy, make others happy to enhance their emotive. Sadness won't help, be it your kith or kin. Spreading happiness will bounce back. to you with a worldly spin.
Panelists for a very calm and insightful discussion. You covered the entire spectrum from positive psychology to the malignant optimism and everything in between. Thank you for sharing your personal stories as well, because they are so inspirational that I'm sure everyone is going back home with some or the other lessons. There are so much to learn from them, and thank you so much to our moderators for keeping the whole conversation glued and very precise and learnable. Thank you so much. And of course, the audience, thank you for being so active audience. Thank you so much. I would now like to felicitate Dr. Monali Deshpande ma'am, Dr. Thakre sir, please, with the memento. I would request Dr. Sudhir Mahajan sir to felicitate Dr. Rajendra Agarkar sir with the memento. Again, I would like to request Dr. Thakre sir to felicitate Dr. Avinash Turankar sir with the memento. I would like to call on stage Dr. Sudhir Mahajan sir, Professor and Head of Department of Pharmacology, to felicitate our moderators, Dr. Manish Thakre sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to call upon the stage Dr. Monali Deshpande ma'am to felicitate Dr. Sudhir Mahajan sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, audience. Thank you for being here.